Many of you that are essentially wholesaling real estate, um, there is, you're not really running into any issues. However, you have a deal that comes up where you're getting ready to make a lot of money on a deal. So your potential profit, your potential wholesale profit, or your assignment fee is, let's say, 40 grand, right? Or 30 grand or something big. A lot of the big checks that you all see on the internet. Man, thank you. I've been good. I've been good. A lot of checks, a lot of the big checks that you all see on the internet, lots of times what happens is this. When you get to the closing table, there are sellers that when they're at the title company, there are sellers that will look at that because they're able to see what you make on a document. Lots of times it'll be like a HUD-1 or whatever that is. Let's just call it the closing documents. They'll be able to see what you're getting ready to make off of a wholesale deal. And so, that 30 or 40 grand, that's a lot of money. So a better way, or a way to do this, and a way for you all as licensed agents, that's right, you all as licensed agents to go ahead and do a wholesale deal, is for you to go ahead and close on the deal, and then turn around and resell it again. Close on the deal again. This is referred to as a double close. So let me go back a little bit because I might have lost some of you. A double close is when you have this right here. Okay. Now, I know you all couldn't see that, or many of you all couldn't see that. It's called an A to B, then a B to C close. Okay, so the A to B is your seller and you as the investor. The B to C is you as the investor or the wholesale investor and your cash investor. Seller and you cash investor. A to B, B to C. A double close is when essentially a title company goes ahead, closes on a deal. So basically, you tell the seller that you're going to go ahead and buy the property, right? So you have a purchase agreement to go ahead and to buy the seller's property. You take an additional purchase agreement. Now, you're the seller, and the cash investor is going to go ahead and buy your deal. Because it's not going to show up clear, most investors don't know, but a double close, all it involves is the same purchase agreement. So this is two pieces of paper that look exactly the same. Two yellow pieces of paper. Assume those are purchase agreements. So all you're going to do is have a purchase agreement between you and the seller. That's the A to B contract. Now, the B to C contract is you having that same purchase agreement between you and the cash investor. The way and the reason this works is this. One of the reasons people go ahead and utilize this technique is, number one, they don't want the seller knowing how much money they're making. Because when you're at the closing table, lots of times the books are open when it comes to a traditional wholesale deal, when you're just using one contract. Let's assume you're at the closing and you have a seller that you have let know that you are going to be closing on their property. And at the closing, it shows that you, a wholesaler, an assignment contractor, you are making $40,000 off the deal. All of a sudden, some sellers, they blow up. Now, a way to essentially cover that up or hide that or whatever it is to use something called a double close. Now, a double close works for several different reasons. Number one, obviously, with a double close, what you're making doesn't get shown to the seller. Number one. Number two, if you are licensed and you are entering into this world of wholesaling, now you can go ahead and purchase the property between the seller and you. That's the A to B. So now you have an additional contract, the same contract. All you're doing is using the same contract twice. Okay, there's no such thing as a double close contract. There's no such thing as an additional, some different contract. No. You're using the same purchase agreement just two times. Okay, in order to accomplish this, hey Beverly, how are you? In order to accomplish this, number one, you need a property with equity, just like you would a traditional wholesale deal, right? Number two, it's going to be in your best interest to work with an investor-friendly title company who understands double closing. So how do you find an investor-friendly title company? Well, you can come right here to the House Flipping Family, and in the search bar, type in investor-friendly. I'm going to see if I can find that direct link, but several months ago, I created a post where I was asking for investor-friendly title companies in all 50 states, and I probably have over 100, 150 different title companies. That post has about 400 or 500 comments. Okay, and you can go ahead and go on there and scroll down that list and look for an investor-friendly title company in your area. Now, let me back up a little bit. When you're double closing a deal, what you are looking for is you're looking for someone, in order to double close a deal, the title company is going to require you to come up with the funds, to come up with the money to go ahead and close that deal. So let's assume that for this particular deal, you need $50,000 to go ahead and close that deal. You can either find that from a private investor, or what you can do is you can go ahead and Google transactional funding. Transactional funding. You know what? When I'm done with this video, I have a guy that I trust here in Georgia. His name is Matthew Coleman. I'm going to leave his number. Give him a shot. See who he knows, who specializes. He's a hard money lender. He does construction loans and some other things, but see who he knows that provides transactional funding. But other than himself, I want you to Google transactional funding. What this is simply is this. It's funding that funds the transaction temporarily. Transactional funding is good for a day, if not 5 or 6 hours. So let's assume today being August the 11th, you're going to go ahead and close your deal your deal is set to close September 12th. Okay. You have a deal, it's working, a lot of equity, yada, yada, yada. You need two things in order to make sure you close that deal. Number one, on the back end of that, when you had that deal under contract, that A to B contract, your cash investor needs to be serious about closing that deal on the back end. Remember, that cash investor is going to be between that B to C contract. That's going to be that agreement that purchase agreement between yourself and that cash investor. That cash investor has to come in with the cash to go ahead and close that deal, right? Back to the transactional funding part. Transactional funding is simply temporary funding to go ahead and to fund your deal for that day. So let's say, for instance, it's September 12th, right? So your deal is going to close. Your A to B deal is going to close on September 12th. Your transactional funding is set up to be funded September 12th. And your back end cash buyer is going to go ahead at the same time you close the deal, the A to B deal, the B to C deal is going to close the same day. Transactional funding is merely temporary funding to go ahead and to close a deal. Many of you all that hit me up on social media, you message me or whatever it is, you got chunks of cash. This is a great way for you to go ahead and make some money like that, right? You allow, it's creative, but it's a way you can go ahead and allow somebody who wholesales real estate to go ahead and close deals. Transactional funding, if you go with a transactional funding company, sometimes they'll charge $500, $1,000. They'll charge a fee to temporarily allow you to borrow the money, right? All you're doing is borrowing money for a day or 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is. It's temporary funding to go ahead and to close a transaction. So how you're not on the hook and responsible for that $50,000, whatever that fee is, a cash investor needs to be serious. And if you have a deal, a real deal, a deal with equity, and you have a serious buyer, then that cash buyer is going to go ahead and close that deal because number one, they're going to profit from it when they fix the property and flip it. Number two, if you want to get your money, your assignment fee, whatever the case may be, everybody's happy, right? So in order to go ahead and close a double funding, in order to do a double close, you need a purchase agreement. You need a purchase agreement. You need a serious cash buyer, and you need an investor-friendly title company who understands double closing. How do you know if they understand double closing? Give them a call and ask them, are you experienced at double closings? And then you need somebody who does transactional funding, okay? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do something. There was a young lady in the group. I do apologize. Let me see. I'm looking on my screen right now and seeing who the young lady was because, okay, Sheila was asking about this earlier. And Sheila, I hope you get this. Many of you have already downloaded my contracts. What I did was this. I went ahead and at the end of that download, there are 2 additional contracts. One of them is filled out. One of them is blank. It's the same contract, okay? For those of you who want to know how to fill out a contract, if you don't have an LLC, don't worry about it, okay? If you need an additional contract, talk to the title company to see if they provide any contracts, okay? You can talk to a real estate agent. If you need a specific contract for your specific area, talk to the title company. You can talk to a local real estate agent, perhaps a broker, what have you. But I'm going to have copies in this link that I'm going to go ahead. It's going to be the link above. And I'm going to have copies of a filled out contract and a blank contract. It's the same exact contract. It's just one is filled out, one is not. That way you can download the blank one and have yourselves a contract. And then you download the one that I took a screenshot of and you can just literally just copy. That way you don't have to get lost. However, with the A to B contract, just remember, you are essentially, you are the buyer. A to B, you're the buyer. B to C contract, you're the seller. Okay? A to B, you're the buyer. B to C, you're the seller. You just need one contract to do double closings. You don't need nothing special, just one contract. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to drop a link above so that you all can go ahead and download those. Number one. Number two, when it comes to transactional funding, even hard money or construction loans or whatever, my man Matthew Coleman, I'm going to drop his information above as well. For many of you that need those services, give him a shout. There's a lot of people that post a lot of stuff in the group. I trust him. These are facts. I trust him. Let me think. So I think that's all I wanted to explain. So when you all are doing these big time deals, or when you have a deal on the line where you're going to make a chunk of money, just know that there are some sellers that get angry, they get upset, they get frustrated. You said you were going to buy my. It's like, well, I don't understand. Well, you're making all this money off the deal, and with a double closing, you are essentially closing from A to B. Boom. You close that day, September 12th. B to C, you close that day, September 12th. You know what I mean? So if it's like that, you're not. It's your close. It's your deal. So the owner or the seller of the property doesn't know how much you're making. And the investor, boom, they close the deal, they get a great deal. Have a nice day. So, hey, Sheila, how's it going? Not a problem. Just when I go ahead and I hear, she said, thank you for going live. When I hear something that I could potentially, most of my YouTube channel is actually just me answering a lot of questions. People have a lot of questions. And I wanted to go ahead and create that YouTube channel to serve as like a virtual mentor to a lot of people. And so it's not the best, it's not the brightest, it's not the, I don't do video editing. I go ahead and I shoot it right here in my office sometimes in my backyard, sometimes at the park, I don't care. But yeah, I know that this will go ahead and help a lot of people. Anyways, guys, you all have a beautiful, blessed Sunday. Check out the link above. Also contact my man Matthew. He's good at different types of lending. And if you all are looking for transactional funding, and if he doesn't have the answer, go to Google and Google, hey, Kelly, how are you? Go ahead and Google transactional funding. Okay. And if you're looking for it, that's the other thing is, I'm going to see if I can go ahead and put the link above this video as well. But if you all are looking for an investor-friendly title company in your area, go to the search bar in the house flipping family and type in investor-friendly title companies. And hopefully you'll find some in your area. If they're in your state, do me a favor. Give them a call. And ask them, do they have an investor-friendly title company that is in your area or close to you somewhere? Okay. And then do me another favor. When you find out, because there's over 3,300, there's thousands of counties out there. You know what I mean? When you all find an investor-friendly title company that's not in the house flipping family, do me a favor and add them to the family, because somebody may come along that needs help in that area, that needs an investor-friendly title company in that area, okay? Anyways, guys, you all have a beautiful, blessed day. Take care.